in the pandemic, as I think most of you know, there was a lot of time to observe and renew and rethink. And since we were more or less at home, I had to be very careful because of somebody else at home that has comorbidities. It became all about self-care, right? I couldn't go to anybody, I couldn't see anybody. And I thought, how is the Feldenkrais method helping me? It was really a very, very hard time. And I realized that I got it all of a sudden, that no matter what the situation is, I come up with another way of doing or thinking. You see, I don't get stuck. Hopefully forever, I don't think so. I think we do get old, and at some point, probably, we'll get stuck with something, wherever our imagination goes, right? But that was really amazing. And the realization that you can be in a fragile state and still be very strong because there is always another option. And I thought, how did it happen? How come that my brain really works like that? I don't tell it, I don't turn on the button and say, now come up with another option. It just does. And I realized that it really goes back to all the work that I did for, what is it now, 37 years with Feldenkrais, that I learned deeply how to find another option through myself, my body, but my body is me, right? And through the movement. So if the shoulder is hurting and there's something that are hard to do, let's visit another part of ourselves that might actually make it easier to lift it half an inch higher. But if it's enough, half an inch higher, it can improve. Yeah. And of course, sometimes you have things that are anatomically, something is broken, something is cracked. It needs to be dealt with in that way, yes. But even after that, if it's a new part, it has to be integrated in that system that is called I. And I don't know how much you know about system theory, which I think is very important because that's, from my experience, right? I'm not a scientist, so I cannot say anything 100%. And I think that good scientists will also say that they cannot say anything 100%, right? But from my experience, we are a system, which means it works when everything works together. Yeah, and you can address, if something doesn't work in the system, then the whole system, there's something different about it, suffers a little bit. Yeah, but on the other hand, you can get into the system from all kind of other places and improve the whole system. And I like to think about it a little bit. It's like family therapy, you have the issues in the family, and I think many times the children are expressing them, yes, and you have family therapy, but the child is not the reason for the issues. The issues are in the system. Right? So you have to deal with all the system so that the child will be better. So this is how I view the work with, I don't like to say it, with the body, but I will say it because it's available to understand, because the body is us, you know. And I know that from every time there is a war somewhere or a shooting somewhere, I have trouble with my belly. You see, immediately. So the system is us. Okay, now I'd like to talk about a few things. How are you going to be, what does it mean, creative self-care? How can you do that? There are tools that you can use. There are principles that you can use. But the first thing that you have to do before you understand the technique of using those principles is to know yourself. So a lot of you have some vocabulary, right? Movement vocabulary that you already studied. In this course, I will integrate the ones that don't have, and they will learn new movement vocabulary. What can I do? And in the end of the course, we will try to do this. We will try to use all of this. I will give you at the time, I will give you a document that has those things outlined, and you can use them. So lie on your back, please. And here, that's where the self-care starts. The moment where you are on the floor, but it doesn't have to be on the floor, yeah? But we start with completely giving in to gravity. And little by little feeling, where is it that we don't give in? And we don't know about it. We don't know that we don't give in. That is so interesting. And one can talk about it for many hours. How does it develop? What happens? Right? But the important thing is to start feeling. So, move your attention. I'm doing it slowly because I want you to do it slowly. To the way that you touch the floor, that the back of you touches the floor. If you have never done this work before, you might feel like something, you know, not much there. Okay, so my back touches the floor. But you have shoulder blades, for instance. We'll do a lot with the shoulder blades today. Well, is one of the shoulder blades touching the floor more than the other? And then you have to ask yourself, shoulder blades, what are my shoulder blades? Do I feel my shoulder blades? Where are they? And at this moment, a creative thing that you can do is use your hands and look for your shoulder blades. So the two bones in the upper back, right? They support the shoulders. They move when the arm moves. Yeah, and you can feel a bone there, one and then the other one. And you think, oh, wow. Why was I never aware of it? So you can always use your hands to touch something, to feel something. The hands are really a very sensitive tool for us. That's right. And I'll show you later the shoulder blade on a skeleton. But since we are talking about thinking creatively, here is an option. And now you have the back of the head, right? There is a point that the back of the head comes in contact with the floor. So slowly, very slowly, imagine that something is standing there to the right, and you gently just move the head a little bit to the right to look at it without forcing yourself. And just the amount that is so easy to do. And of course, the idea is what is easy? And since in the back of the head you have that bone, does it feel smooth, that bone? Or is there a little bit of a heel on part of it? What is the terrain? What does the terrain feel like to you? And then you come back to the middle and you begin slowly to look to the left, right? And maybe it's more difficult. Maybe the neck doesn't really want to go unless I push it. And if it does move a little bit, what do you feel in the back of the head? Is it going up a hill? Is it going down a hill? You see, it's actually quite simple and complicated at the same time. Great. And now move your attention to your pelvis. Where is your pelvis? Where are the bones of the pelvis? How do you know? You might have to take your hands and feel the bony part of your pelvis. And the pelvis is more or less what exists below the waistline. More or less, because it's very different with many people. But put your hands on your pelvic bone. That's right. In the front, on the sides. And then it goes to the back. It makes an arc on the side of yourself where the waist is. And it goes to the back. And that's your pelvic bone inside your pelvis. That's it. And then, of course, you have your hip joints, which is inside the structure, but you can get to it from in front, from the groin, and in the back. It's like there is we'll do it later. When you move your leg, you can feel the head of the bone of the leg, the head of the femur, moving inside your buttock. And now for a moment, leave it be. Put your arms alongside you. And just get the information. Which parts are sinking and which parts are a little bit in the air or just not touching very much. And now slowly bend your knees and put your feet standing. And put your feet, the distance between the feet is as wide as your shoulders. How wide is the distance of your shoulders? Can you tell? Can you sense? Yeah, that's a sense that we have, the proprioceptive sense that is very important to our life, and until now nobody taught it. Nobody talked about it, not only not taught it. That's right. And now slowly bring both arms towards the ceiling. And some of you already know that movement, and we just will use it to start, and we'll come back to it in the end of the lesson. Put the two palms together. That's right. And you created the famous triangle. The two arms are the two sides, and the chest is the base of the triangle. And you keep that triangle undeformed, and you tilt yourself, the arms, the chest, to the right without using the pelvis. Huh? A lot of you know how to do it with using the pelvis, but for a moment, don't use the pelvis. Which shoulder will have to get off the floor and which shoulder goes more into the floor? Aha. Right, and please, please, for your own sake, for your own ability to improve, do just the amount that you can, even if it's almost nothing. We all know how to push ourselves to please first the environment, the social environment, and then please ourselves. We don't need to learn that. We need to learn how to find out what is our real ability. And then go to the left. And the question is, how can my chest rotate? The whole rib nest and the thoracic spine, how can it rotate without rotating the pelvis? And from that, keep your arms to the ceiling. And now you will open them and put the right hand under your left armpit so that you can touch the edge of the shoulder blade. And all of you, if you want for a moment, I have a tiny little skeleton here, and I will show you. The skeleton is also injured its jaw. But if you want to look, here are the shoulder blades. Can you see them? Yeah. This one and this one. Now, you take, I'm turning it, you take this arm, right, the right arm, you put it below the left armpit, and it takes hold of the shoulder blade. Can you see that? And then the other arm takes hold of the top, from the outside of the shoulder blade, not from under the armpit, but above, and get hold of the shoulder this way. So you end up, and I'll show you with myself, you end up hugging yourself. You see? One is under the armpit and the one is above, but it's not here. It's on the shoulder blades. As much as you can on the shoulder blades. So let's do that self-hug. That's it. And I found it funny because I called it, without deciding which lesson to do, I called it self-care. And the lesson I chose was by chance called self-hug. So can you find a way to hug yourself easily? So the right hand is under the left shoulder blade. That's right. If you have trouble or pain in the shoulder, you don't have to go so deep. And very slowly, with the right hand, pull your chest, roll it to the right. Roll it to the right. It's as if your hand says, come with me to the right. There we go. And then you, in your chest, this part of you, does it follow you? Does it come off a little bit from the floor and shift the weight to the right? And can you breathe when you do that? Easy, easy, easy. And now is the time to know yourself. If you're pushing, you don't get to know yourself. You get to know yourself as somebody who pushes all the time and hurt themselves. We all probably do it at some point in our life or other. So now, exactly. So do you feel anything moving in your neck? You know, even those of you who have done ATMs in the Feldenkrais method for a long time, you can always start now, today, and forget what you know, just see what is already inside, deeply inside of you. That's nice. And now open your eyes and roll your head and your eyes to the right. And you just encourage with your hand, and at a certain point, the body says, no more, you need to stop now. That's nice. And that's right. And keep, as much as you can, keep the pelvis quiet. There might be a tiny little bit of movement, but it's not about rolling the pelvis. Not yet, anyway. And now come back to the middle. And now start pulling with your left hand, the shoulder blade, inviting your thoracic area to roll to the left. Yeah, the left hand is on the right shoulder blade, and it encourages you to roll to the left. See, you're moving the vertebrae of the spine in relation to each other. And you're shifting the weight, even though it is a tiny little bit. Now slowly go once to the right and once to the left. Just, that's it, easy, easy. easy. And notice if you're rolling the head. That's right. And stop, please. Put your arms down alongside you. Straighten one leg at a time. And just in that picture that you drew of yourself in the beginning of the lesson, did you make a change in that picture? Did something come closer to the floor? Or not? And bend your knees, put your feet standing again. And this time change over the hands, which means that the left hand will be under the right armpit, right? And the right hand will be on the left shoulder blade, coming from the side, not from the top. That's right. You really hug yourself. And now, like that, without thinking too much, choose the hand that you want to pull, to roll to the side. Don't think so much, huh? Let the body tell you, let your nervous system tell you what it likes better. That, and do it many times to that side that you like better, and see are you rotating? How does it feel in the back of you? Yeah, there's movement there. The weight is a little bit more on one side than the other. And you know, each one of us, at least the people I've met in my life, which is many, have a bias, because when we have to do something very, very fast, we don't have time to think, which arm am I going to use now? And it's excellent to know your biases, because then you can make the other side better by learning what the first side is doing so well. There we go. And now roll to the other side, use the other hand. And notice, why did you, maybe you can know the secret. Why did you start with the first one? Maybe the secret is in the neck and the head. Maybe in one direction, the head rolls with you so that the spine in the neck, the cervical spine, is rotating, and then it's attached to the thoracic spine, the spine of the back, the upper back, and allows it to rotate. Each vertebrae, yeah, you start with one, it rotates, and then it makes the other one rotate, and then it makes the next one rotate. It's they can rotate as a group of vertebrae as one, almost. But when you do what you're doing now to one side, they need to rotate relatively the same amount and in time, yeah? It takes time to get to the place where you cannot rotate anymore. And now go to from side to side and play with it. Yeah. Now play with it. That's nice. Play, play, play. Play means do only what you can and just go from side to side like a vibration, the vibration of a string. Yeah, nice. Excellent. And stop and rest. So here comes a question, right? First of all, maybe more than one question. First of all, how much can the spine in an ideal skeleton, how far down can it rotate? How much can you start with the shoulder and go to one side? Yeah? Starting with pulling the shoulder and twisting the whole chest to one side. And then do it easily, even easier than you did now, but going further. Easy. And here is a strategy that Dr. Feldenkrais used a lot. He's going to teach the brain what rotation means, what easy rotation means, through using the bottom part of the pelvis, of the body, the pelvis and the legs. It is like magic, but it isn't. So straighten your legs. And now slowly move like windshield wipers. Move the 2 feet to the right, both of them in the same direction, and to the left. Right? The feet, first of all. You're not changing. That's right. Just the feet. And do it quite fast. And notice that even though the heels stay more or less in the same spot, only you're rolling on it, slowly, you have the whole leg is also moving, right? The pelvis is moving right and left. So now you are moving the pelvis by moving your feet, right and left. There. If you're not sure you're moving the pelvis, put your hands on the pelvic bone, on both of them, and see whether they're moving. Not so fast, not so fast, not so fast. Yeah. Spread your legs, spread comfortably, not overspreading and not holding together. And now slowly, don't think about your feet, but move the pelvis, rock the pelvis right and left. And maybe your feet will do what they did before by this moving, you see? There is an option. You can start this movement from the feet. You can initiate it from the feet. And you can initiate it from the pelvis. It's a little bit different, but it serves the same purpose as rolling the pelvis. Now rest for a moment, and then we'll do something else. Now keep the heels and the feet where they are, where they are. You can push on one heel at a time if you want, if you feel like it. And now roll the pelvis from side to side. So we're upping the ante slowly, slowly, but here is the creativity, which variation am I going to use? Did I know that there are so many ways to do one thing? But be careful, because if you have backache, you have to honor it. That's right. And now don't push on the heels at all. Just shift the weight of the pelvis right and left, and you'll see you have to use your back. That's right. And rest for a moment. And we're going to make sure now, that it's really the bottom that is tilting right and left. So put both arms, both elbows on the floor on both sides of the head so that the fingertips touch somewhere on your forehead. They don't have to meet. But your elbows are on the floor so that the weight of the arm doesn't allow the head to move right and left. That's nice. And now stay there for the next few movements, right? If you don't understand, your hands are on your forehead and the elbows more or less on the floor on both sides of the head. If you can. Now, look, here comes creativity. Let's say that it's very hard for you to put the elbows on the floor. Then what do? You bring the floor to the elbows. You put pads or towels, right, folded towels, and you put them under your elbows. You lift the floor so that you can rest. And now your hands, they don't have to be the whole hand on your forehead, just the fingertips on both ends of the forehead. That's nice. So for some of you, it's a very easy thing to do. For some of you, you need some help. You need to think. Or if it's really a problem and you have pain, don't do that. Just make sure that your head doesn't move. And slowly bend your knees, put your feet standing. Shoulder widths apart, the feet. Yeah, shoulder widths apart. You'll hear it a lot if you continue with this work. And now, slowly tilt the knees to the right, both of them to the right, to roll the pelvis to the right. So you are using the knees to roll the pelvis, right? The weight of the legs. So just try now to tilt your knees. That's right, to the right. That's all. And just observe how the pelvis is tilted. You don't want a huge movement. You just want to do what you intend to do, which is to tilt the pelvis, but not to move the head and the upper chest. In that way, you make part of the spine, you highlight the part of the spine where the twist happens. And again, and as you're doing it, you know, for me, it's still a thing that I catch. What are you doing with the belly? Are you holding your belly in? Can you do that? And really let the belly be. You can breathe in or you can breathe out, whatever allows your belly to relax and rest. If you hold it in, it's very hard to twist. And now, bend, tilt your knees to the left and notice if it's the same thing. When we do fast and strenuous exercises, we don't feel differences. And if the difference that, if the part that there is a real problem, and if you don't feel the difference, you make the problem really good. That's how Dr. Feldenkrais used to say. If you try to deal and fix the problem, you will get a very good problem. In your nervous system, it becomes, now they know that it becomes chronic pain. And now go right and left and notice how far up in your spine do you feel movement? Do you feel life? That's it. That's it. That's it. The head is not moving. But there are quite a bit of vertebrae. The lumbar spine is moving. And now stop for a moment. Make sure that the feet are not close together. For what we are going to do, that is important. That they are a little bit wider, and you'll see in a moment. And now, slowly, tilt the pelvis, but don't tilt the knees. So that if you tilt the pelvis to the right, you push the floor with the left foot and you take the left knee away from your head, in the direction away from your head. That's right. So that is another way to tilt your pelvis. Look how many ways we have. That's right. So if you are going to the right, then the right knee can tilt a little bit, but not the left. And come back. And now go in the other direction. Belly, belly, breathing, breathing. That's right. And slowly continue the movement from side to side, but this time take the arms off the head, put them alongside yourself, and this time roll the head in the opposite direction of where we are going. So if you tilt to the right, you roll the head and the eyes to the left. If you tilt to the left, you roll the head and the eyes to the right. And all this time, you feel how does the movement travel between the pelvis and the head, through the spine. You know, when you do it enough, and it has to actually interest you, right? One has to be curious about it, and maybe it's not the thing you're curious about most, but one can refine it so that you can sense every vertebrae, how it's moving. Yeah, it's a form of meditation. Nice. And now continue doing the thing with the head and the knees and the pelvis, but move the eyes in the opposite direction of the head. And you stop to think. It's your, how should I say? You're working with your own unique intelligence. And you're using it to improve your movement in life and to have less limitations and less pain. Excellent. And now leave the head alone completely and just move from side to side easily. Easily, be careful with your back. Push the belly out every time you lift one side of the pelvis. Push it towards the opposite side, yes? As if you're going, hey, go there. I need your help. Don't disturb me. That's nice. And let go and rest. Maybe you can already feel that you are longer, that the legs are longer, that your spine is longer. Maybe. And now, one more creative move. Bend your knees, put your feet standing, but put the feet not only apart, but really close to your buttocks and apart from each other. And now, if you can't, then just imagine it. Just imagine doing it, and you actually don't even have to lift. And you'll see what I mean in a minute. But those who can, please lift your pelvis in the air. The knees go away from you. The knees go away from you. Nice. Put your hands on your pelvic bones on the sides. Yeah, on the place that juts out. You can feel it, right? It juts out in the front. There we go. And now with your hands, pull one side up. Let me tell you, pull the right side down and the left side up. So you are rotating again the pelvic bone around the spine in another way. That's it. If you cannot put your hands on your hips and if you cannot lift, just do it without lifting. Yeah, you might have to put your elbows wider. Some of you have trouble reaching exactly the place, the bone of the pelvis. Put the elbows wider. Great. And you go from side to side and notice that you also move from side to side on your shoulder blade. A little bit. The weight is moving. And stop, please, and rest. Just notice the point that you noticed in the beginning of the lesson and see how they are. And bend your knees, put your feet standing. And hug yourself in any way that you would like to hug yourself. And now, first of all, just go side to side, see if something there's a little bit of ease there, more than there was before. You have to hug yourself, yes? And then use your pelvis, push on one foot, you will see you will go almost. That's right, almost. And then push on the other foot. That's right. And go. And without stopping the movement of the chest and the upper back, stop helping with the feet and just move right and left with the chest, and you will see it will be, yeah? And look, the way that those things work, even if it's just a tiny little bit of improvement, the whole system has improved that tiny little bit. And then we continue with the lessons. And I, of course, put them together in a particular order, right? To take this little improvement and amplify it and amplify it. And I believe that once you understand the variations and the principle, that you can amplify on your own as long as you don't push. And now create the triangle. And till the triangle right and left. And you don't need to push on your feet. You just need to take one shoulder off and follow with the chest in the direction. That's nice. I see that it's for a lot of people, it's better. That's right, the head and the eyes, they follow the hands. That's it. Yeah. And really, if you do it again, which will be really good at home, if you repeat it once or twice, and really ask yourself, okay, in the chest, let go, let's follow. Let's follow the head and the eyes. You can follow forever until you have the floor. And then your pelvis will also get up, but it will not be the initiator. And stop. Stretch out for a moment and feel that maybe you feel really longer and wider. And maybe you sense your breathing, and as you sense the rhythm in your breathing. And it takes part in more of your torso. And slowly roll the head to the right and to the left, like we did in the beginning. Notice. Study yourself. And then you learn something, and then you have fun with it. You do it a little bit faster if it's ready. You have to know if it's ready. Do it a little bit faster, even if it's a tiny motion. And you say, oh, okay. No, 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 no with the head, right? Just say no with the head. Fast. You're muted. You can actually say no, 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 no. And if you smile at the same time, well, then we are closer to well-being. And all of you, please roll to your side easily with, trying to really not be correct, just have fun and come up to sitting and then to standing. And feel whether you became also longer in standing. See what you can sense, anything at all. And walk around and turn to one side, turn to the other side, right? Now you have become part of your physical environment. The hardest thing is to take that change, and bring it to the social environment. You know, that's where you feel, oh my God, I'm losing that sense. Not always, obviously. I wish that it's not like that, yes? And it depends on that social environment. But to become aware at the moment where you will lose it once you get into a social environment. And then not losing. I think in my mind, this is really fundamental.